Welcome back, welcome back. We missed time, we caught up on time, and we are now back on time. Friends, welcome back, and thank you so much for keeping the time. And I'm hoping that everybody who has not registered is now registered, and everybody who did not have a room allocation now has a room allocation. I have one announcement to make, which I omitted earlier on. You have this posted paper in your folder. This is going to come in handy during a session called speed dating. It's going to come in very handy during that session of speed dating, because this is when you write down actionable points. What are we going to do? Yes, we know what we are doing here now, but what are we going to do from hence going forward? So keep it clean, keep it neat. You can write a few of your actionable points that you feel are going to be important, but preferably do not write them now. Write them after you have had a moment with other ladies, so that we do not have duplicates. But if we have duplicates, Ziharo has already said that we are not going to be able to deal with everything. So all the pointers that are duplicates, we are going to just take one and then see how do we eat an elephant? One bite size at a time. So welcome. I am pleased to announce that our next speaker is here in our midst. I had to make sure that she runs and she flies and she crawls. I said to her, Bona, on time, because I'm the timekeeper, I am the master of ceremony, I am the boss, I am the servant, I am everything. So if you want to be in this assembly's good books, you better be in my good books, at least for today. I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Thandi is an inspirational leader and an award-winning businesswoman. She holds a degree in chemical engineering and MBA cum laude. Yes. I mean, hello. Dr. Thandi has a PhD in business management from the UKZN, an international public speaker, a philanthropist, and an educational activist. Her recent achievements include Nedbank Womanda Award in 2018 in chemical engineering category, Standard Bank KZN Top Business Inspiring Woman in Business 2021, Standard Bank KZN Top Business Award recognizing Pandekile project for exceeding customer expectation, Global She Awards winner in Top Ladies in Business category 2022, and 2022 Woman of Stature Global Award finalist in the Woman in Oil and Gas category. She is a member of Golden Key International Honor Society, and I am proud to say, she doesn't know this yet, but I'm also proud to say that she is my friend. Why are you laughing? She is my friend. She is a married and a mother, and she is a Methodist Church of Southern Africa member and a member of the Women's Manyano. Friends, let us welcome with a warm hand clap and a song, Dr. Thandi MaThabethe Ngxongo.
It's nice to be here. Okay, ngibingelele presiding bishop, both the presiding bishops, the current and the previous one, and ngibingelele wonke umuntu ongaphakathi endlini. I observe the protocol, program director. I greet everyone in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. 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 Are we okay? Yes. It's a Friday evening. Our energy levels, how are our energy levels?
High, very high.
High. Yes. Okay, we are all here, right? Yes. We are taking up space right now, right here, right? Okay. Let's also just revive our energy a little bit with a song that I think resonates with all of us. I was listening to President Bishop's opening devotions when I was coming here, and she was speaking about the women who were courageous, women who were shifting things, women who were not sitting at the periphery, but who were at the mainstream of the issues that we were facing at that time. So I think we will all resonate with this song. So can we just sing it together? Igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, 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 igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe, malibongwe, malibongwe. Thank you so very much. So I think now we can really, go into the session, because this song here, Mama Linga, it reminds me of the women whose shoulders we stand on. Women like Mama Linga, women like other women who were in business, who were in leadership before us, who really paved the way for me to come and stand here and talking about taking up space. So, igama lami Thandi MaThabethe. I come from Natal Coastal District, yes, in KZN, under the leadership of Bishop Umandindi, SCCMYT. So thank you so very much to the organizing team for inviting me today to come and share my perspective of taking up space and maybe drawing from my own experiences. And I hope that as I present this evening, you introspect, you bring it to yourself and see how can we collectively as women rise, collectively as women take up space and hold each other as we do that. Okay, so moving to the first slide. One of the things that helps me a lot each and every day when I leave home, I give myself some declarations. So I think the declaration that we need to take away from this session of showing up and taking up space is that we as women, we should take up space. We can take up space, and we will take up space. Yes. We are not going to wait for anybody to tell us otherwise. We will take up space. We are here. And we are not going anywhere. And we are going to take up space, whether the space is given to us or not, we are going to take up space. That's the declaration that I would like us to declare as we go into the session, that this is not an option. It's something that is going to happen for each and every one of us. It's something that's going to happen for all of us collectively. So, as I was listening to President Bishop coming here, she was talking about our wilderness, saying, we all experience our wilderness in different ways. Within the church leadership structures, we experience our wilderness. In the corporate boardrooms, can I see by the raise of hands how many of us are in corporate here? Okay, by the raise of hands, how many of us are in business? Okay, so in corporate boardrooms, for those who are in corporate, you would know that we are, navigating through wilderness. In the business space, we are navigating through wilderness. So the spaces are not open, spaces are closed. I think we must just face reality, that the spaces that you are talking about are not open for us, are not going to be handed over to us. They are closed to us. The space that I'm in, which is the petroleum retailing, it took me 4 years to actually penetrate through and get to own a service station. 4 full years, because the space is closed. The space is not open, especially to us as Black community. The spaces are occupied. Zinabanikazi. They are occupied. And the spaces are reserved for Umtakabani. So as we're going to end the session today, just know what when Umtakabani, it means Umtakabani, the space that is reserved for a mean. So personalize it. Know that when Umtakabani, it's reserved for you. And the spaces are very difficult to access. Very, very difficult to access. So maybe let's look briefly on the challenges that we face as women as we try to access spaces, as we try to show up. Because I believe that as women, we are not lazy. We want to be there, we want to do things, but it's so difficult to penetrate and make sure that we are able to reach our goals. Very, very difficult. And these things are systematic. I'm coming from now from Forbes Women's Summit, and they were talking about how the system is designed in such a way that it's difficult to get through. So these are the spaces that are closed to us as Black community and as Black women. So the issues of bias, and I'm sure we've experienced this in our own little corners, you know. When there's a leader to be selected, the bias says a leader is a man, you know. The issues, if I bring it to the corporate boardroom, because I grew up in corporate before I branched out to business, the issues in corporate where if the budget for a position was 1.5 million per annum, and when they said that no, we need to transform this position, we need to bring women, and when women apply for the position, then the value drops. Then it goes to 800,000. The issues of imposter syndrome. I have suffered from this for a longest time until I snapped out of it. So if there's a lady here, if there's a sister here who still suffer from imposter syndrome, please snap out of it. I see zingalutho. You know, I grew up in the farm. I'm a farmer in Bell, so I didn't go to Model C schools. So for me to stand in front of people and talk and address people, I was like, oh, Thandi, because I don't have nice polished English, you know, like other people. So I was like, no, how can you do that, you know? So I was imposing that to myself. I am not good enough for other things. We are good enough for everything. For everything. Issues of access to finance. This here, for those who have tried to really apply for big funding, would know that there are categories where we, you know, our banks, our financial institutions, they would put risks on women. Because you are a woman, are you going to be able to do A, B, and C? When I applied for the service station that I run today, I was taken through pillar and post. And when I shared the experience with other colleagues in the industry who are not female, they were not taken through that. Because we still need to prove ourselves twice compared to our counterparts. So those are the issues that are making it difficult for us to take up space. Issues of gender violence. Whether you are directly experiencing that, or whether you see it happening in the community, or even at home. You know, like, hi, shy. But those issues affect us as women. Some of us in this room maybe have gone through gender-based violence at some stage, because it's not only physical, we know that, right? So those issues are hindering us to take up space. So I'm mentioning these issues because I want us to be aware of them. You know, the first step to move forward is to be aware where you are. Then you can be able to take one step and move forward. Issues of the fact that it's a boys' club. It is a boys' club out there. You know, before I left corporate, I was sitting in the executive level, and thank you, sis. And it was very few of us who were sitting in the leadership level. And when you hear the perception and the rumor saying that most of the deals are sealed in the golf course, it is true. I know it. I've experienced it. Where on a Monday, there would be decisions that are taken. We are all in the boardroom, sitting in the boardroom. And you can see that these decisions were discussed already on Saturday. And I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I cannot be there all the time on Saturday playing golf. I'm a natural. I need to take care of my family. You know, besides corporate, in the business space, when the big giants, maybe a petroleum company is transforming and saying that we are going to be we're going to be opening up the space to women, they would, in the golf course, one of the financial institutions say, hey, I need sales, man, my sales are not going well. And they will say, no, it's fine. I'm just going to put it in a clause that you are the preferred financer for this business. Then you find that all the business that is sitting here is going to be financed by these financial institutions because it's the agreements that have been agreed upon in the boys' club. Issues of self-worth, which goes hand in hand with imposter syndrome. You know, we still don't have enough self-confidence that I can own the biggest Pick and Pay in Sandton. You know, I can own this facility, the biggest hotel that is recognized internationally, that gets international funding and investment. We still don't have enough self-confidence to believe that we can do this. So these are some of the issues that when you reflect, and I'm sure you would have maybe some of the issues that you are experiencing in your own corner, which are not listed here. But the first step to move forward is to understand that I am a woman in South Africa, that still experiences these issues. And for me to take up space, I need to be mentally ready to conquer all the challenges that I've mentioned there. As women, we are jack of all trades. I'm a mother, which is the title that I so dearly love. I'm a mother and a wife. And we know, for us, for those who are married, you know how it is to be a wife, right? Because you have another child here also that on top of your children. We are leaders. Leaders in the church, leaders in the society, leaders in our businesses, leaders in the corporate space. We are leaders. People look up to us to give direction, look up to us to provide vision. You know, we are students. Some of us are studying. And can I see by the raise of hands how many of us are studying in the room? Thank you. I love that. Because Bazalwane, as little blood, we are going to study until we die. Okay? As little blood, we are paid. So we need to continue studying. And that's, for us, especially as women, that's the greatest weapon that we have. You know, for us to even gain extra recognition is because we need to go and study and make sure that we have at least a level of education. Whereas the other counterpart don't even need that sometimes, you know. So just little blood is within school and studies. Okay? So we carry all these different hats. And for some of us who run businesses, we also run businesses in the mix. So all these different hats that we carry, it is important to then understand, Uguti, as much as we are in a race of taking up space, we try and balance. Because the hats that you carry are different from my hats, right? But all of them are important. So for me, the family pillar is very, very important. If that one can be shaken, then I won't even be able to be a great leader in the society. I won't be able to be a great leader in my business. So very, very important as women that you recognize what is more important to you and do not sacrifice what is most important to you. So I'm going to be speaking on different principles and models, and I should have really put my references that I've taken from the books that I read. I read a lot of so maybe I should have put references there. But these models are familiar to all of us, you know, and are the models that really has helped me in my journey to make sure that I continue to take up space. Okay. I was talking to the fact that it's important to understand what's important to you as a woman. So this year, the concept of Ikigai, it has helped me to be able to understand what deals do I go for, what deals do I accept, and what is it that I say yes and no to. It has helped me a lot. It talks about a center point where your passion, mission, vocation, and profession lives. It talks about what is it that you love. So you need to find what is it that you love as a woman. And once you find that, is it something that the world needs? So does the world need whatever that you are passionate about, whatever that you love? And are you good at that? The importance of making sure that we skill ourselves, we just spoken about that now. Is it something that you are good at? And is it something that you can be paid for? Okay, I'm gonna make an example so that it sinks in our heads. I didn't really decide to be a public speaker, okay? I was just going back to schools because I grew up in the rural areas, as I've said. I know how it is not to have information at your exposure. You know, all I knew I wanted to be a chemical engineer, but I didn't even know what that means. So I know how it is not to have access. Talking about the issues of inclusivity, which is the theme for this year's International Women's Day. So I started speaking because I went back to the schools that I studied to offer information, you know, about career guidance, talking through matrics about the life after high school. So that is something that I love, right? I was doing because I love it. And it turns out that the world needs this. And as I grow into the corporate space, as I grow into the business, as I write my own story of life, the world is watching. And they say, Thandi, come and share your story with us. So now what I love, which is partaking information, is what the world needs. Am I good at it? I told you about the imposter syndrome that I faced, right? I then identified short courses. I went to this short course of present to win, present to influence, you know, writing a report. You know, I went to those short courses to make sure that I am skilled in this, because clearly the world now needs Thandi as a speaker to come and speak in different platforms. And now, by the grace of God, I am getting paid for it, because I get invited by corporates, by government, and then of course they pay. So that's what I mean by a point of ikigai, a point of passion, a point of purpose, a point of impact. Mina, my journey is driven by purpose and impact. So you need to decide for yourself what drives you. What is it that drives you? I mean, we are more than just making money. We are not on earth to make money. Well, I don't know, maybe we are. But I always tell my husband that I am not here. I wasn't really designed to make money. I was designed to spend it. So we are beyond just making. Okay, it's not confusing. Making money is important. You know, we must have money. Money is very, very important. It's important even for the church. For the church to function, there must be money. So if Tina, as individuals within the church, don't have money, where the church is going to get money from? So we must make money. So when I say I wasn't designed to make money, I'm not saying we mustn't have it. You know, I still own businesses. I still serve in different corporate spaces because there has to be money still. Okay, so this model here has helped me a lot in my journey of taking up space. It has helped me a lot to be able to say no, you know. So I'm an ambassador, right? You guys know, those who follow me on social media, you know, I'm an ambassador for different organizations. Currently, I'm an ambassador for UKZN. Last year, I was an ambassador for BMW Balito. So there are, as you take up space in your journey, there will be organizations who want to associate with you. And this model will help you then to say, okay, I'm taking up space in different spaces, but there are spaces that I cannot enter. If I can share with you, there was a big alcohol company that came to me and said, we want to partner with you to advertise some of our products. I'm not saying there's something wrong with alcohol, I don't know. But I did not say no to that offer. It was a lucrative deal. They pay, those people pay, eh? But I said no. And I wasn't confused by my no. I was not confused at all. Because it's not in line with who Thandi is. Yes. I cannot be going around and mentoring young girls and then be seen carrying a savannah and say, it's dry, but you can drink it. So we as women must know that there will be deals who are lucrative. Yes. But akusiwa we konke kuhle, but akusiwa konke kusifanele njengabantwana bakaNkulunkulu. So that deal must pass by. There are better deals that are waiting for you. Okay. So going into the next one, I'm going to discuss briefly the 3 building blocks that I think will help us a lot in taking up space. The first one is the personal development, which we have touched on briefly. The second one is the financial literacy. You cannot make something that you don't know. We must know the money movement. How does money move? We must know our relationship with money. How is your relationship with money? Asikwazi ukuba amaKristu abhekuphela kwenyanga umhla ka-25. If umhla ka-25 ngomhla ka-15 isiphelile. uJehova akathandi lokho bese uJehova akathandi amakholwa akho. So we must understand our relationship with it. It's very, very, very important. Hence, I didn't want to infuse it to the personal development. I wanted to put it as a standalone pillar. Then the third pillar, which is the last pillar, is relationships. So I'm going to share the 3 pillars briefly as I conclude my conversation with you. The first talk on personal development, and I wanted to illustrate by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most of you know it. Okay, so very important that you understand where you are in the hierarchy. I strongly believe that, personally, I strongly believe that I must know status and this is where you are, and what is it that you want next. So very important that we understand where we are here, because it's going to be very difficult to take up space, trying to maneuver and taking up space, and you are still at the bottom of the hierarchy. So you need to first try and move from the bottom of the hierarchy, which is the basic needs, because there you still need security. You know, usa energies enough ukuthi ukhokhele ibond nemoto and then iphelile, you know. So you're living from hand to mouth. I don't want anyone to be offensive, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying that I am also, you know, I also backing myself. Yeah. So I don't want to live here and think that Thandi has it all. And no. We are just discussing principles together because we want to grow together, right? So very important to know, okay, me now currently, I'm at the bottom of the hierarchy. On the skills, where am I? Am I still at the bottom of the hierarchy, or am I self-fulfilled on the skills that I've developed as a woman? And if you analyze yourself here, and if you are honest to yourself, you will then put in your vision board or in your whatever you call it, put something that is aligned to make sure that you grow to self-actualization for you to be able to then to take up space. I'm going to make an example so that this thing sink in our head. Ngasekhaya Moy River, kukhona omama abenza inkukhu. Okay? Bazenzela nje inkukhu, so mangabe ufuna ukuthenga inkukhu, uyazi uya kaMakampho uyothenga inkukhu. I cannot talk to Makampho about making sure that you have a business plan so that you can go and apply for funding for your inkukhu zakho, so that you can open up the markets for you. You know, that's kuzohamba on top. So I need to start from the bottom so that azokwazi understand that, because usala on the basic needs ukuthi nje ngenza inkukhu ezu-20 zidayiselwa endaweni ngithole u-5,000 rand and ubona ngathi lokho ku-right. Uyabona? So very important to understand where you are so that you can be able to be at the top of the hierarchy. That top of the hierarchy is meant for me and you. That is when you are now able to really take up space. You know, that is where you are able to identify spaces. That is where spaces come to you, because you are self-actualized. So very important. On the, okay, before I move from the personal development, I just want to share briefly about my purpose of really liking education. So when I was in corporate, I saw that, okay, Thandi, if you say you want to own garages, then you're gonna need to have access to at least women who are in the space of owning garages. And there could be other ways that I've used, but I decided to use the MBA way. So the influence that I had to register MBA was the fact that I want to talk to all the women who own garages in KZN. And that's where I focused my study on transformation in the petroleum retail sector. Because for me, it was easy, I send an email to Ubongi and say, I am Thandi, I'm studying at UKZN, can I have an interview with you? Yeah, so it's easy for them to say yes. Facebook inbox and say, oh, you are born. So that's why I got an inspiration to really register MBA. It was inspired by the fact that I want to own a garage. So when we go to school and develop ourselves and skills ourselves, there must be an inspiration behind. We don't just do it because we want to do it. There must be an inspiration behind. When I attended courses of Present to Influence, Present to Win, the inspiration was the fact that I now stand in front of people. So I need people to hear the message that I'm trying to impart to them. That's why I went for those courses. So everything in your journey of life, it must be inspired by something. Moving on to financial literacy. You must earn all you can, give all you can, save all you can. Yeah. So this thing of money, that is one of the fundamentals of Methodism. Okay, so very important. Let's go to the next slide, sis. Again, there's another hierarchy that is similar to the Maslow that focuses on on financials. If you know that you are not good with money, there are short courses of financials for non-financial managers. You know, those short courses. I did those short courses myself. Very, very important. They are very informative. In the church, we are going to be treasurers, right? We're going to be circuit stewards. We're going to be leadership in the mañanos or in the women's gatherings. We're going to be able to advise the mañano to say, guys, we are not doing well. You know, these are the things that we can do. But it's going to be very difficult if in the bank account we have $1 million and you think that, hi, never seen money. I want to send $1 million a bank. So it's going to be very difficult. So again here, you do your own introspection. If you are still in the cash flow, you know, it's the cash coming in, cash going out. In the cash flow space, you need to introspect if you are still there. Or if you are now in the financial safety. You know, the financial gurus, I don't know who you guys follow on social media, and I follow people who are informative to me. I don't follow influencers that make money. I don't even know how they make money. But they are always in Dubai and whatever. I don't follow those people. I follow people who I'm gaining information from. So they talk about emergency funds. So you must be able to have funds that are put aside for ikhatezinzi. So you need to be able to see, and there's a principle of how you set up these things and all those things. We're not going to get into the details of it. Then there's a stage where you are now be able to accumulate wealth, you know, and financial freedom and so on. So you need to do an introspection. Where am I here? And how do I move up the ladder so that we can create legacy for our children? Very important. Our generation is a generation of turning situations for our families. Things are not going to be the same to the lineage after us. Never. God has entrusted us with information, these gatherings. You know, we go to other gatherings. God has entrusted us with so much information. We need to try and use that information as we take up space as women. And if we remain at the bottom of the hierarchy, it's going to be very difficult to crack through key economic businesses. We are not only about catering and photography and whatnot. Yes, we do that well, but we need to up the notch. You know, when you want to own a franchise, all the franchises are the same. When you want to own a franchise, there's something that they call unencumbered cash that they want. For example, if a garage with 10 million, they want 20% of 10 million. What is 20% of 10 million? So ubani umuntu omnyama ono 2 million ebank ohlenjwe isibuka. They don't even want when you say I'm going to sell my properties and they don't want that. They just want to see at the entrance when you Google now, you know, BP or engine or whatever, and you go to their requirements. Before you even get in, the first step, show us what you have in the bank. That's the first step that they have. And that talks to inclusion, because that's where we are excluded as Black community, because we don't have financial muscle. So very, very important that we recognize that we need financial muscle to take up space. We're not going to end because but 2 million. You know, when I saw that, I didn't blood. That's okay, it's hand. This is what is required. How are you going to achieve it? Because it's achievable. Whatever goals that you have put in your vision board at the beginning of the year, you can achieve it. So I was like, okay, this is what they want. You know, all the other requirements, I tick the boxes, and man, okay, I guess we are working. We have a salary. I had a salary at the time. And where to get promotions. So when you get promoted, do not promote a lifestyle. Your lifestyle must remain the same. bonus, I need to get fat checks. My bonuses at the end of the year. If 20% bonus, 80% must go through savings and investments. Try to get a side hustle. So my side hustle, when I was working, I opened up Thandi's kitchen, selling food. President Bishop knows, they came there at one stage. Selling food, nothing fancy. You know, I just bought a property, then opened up a kitchen, sell food there. And all the money that comes from there now is my side hustle goes to savings and investments. And we declare our side hustle, guys, we are ethical. We can't have Methodist people who are doing shenanigans. So if you're working and you're running a business, you declare it. It's allowed. Just declare it at work. So find ways of accumulating from what you have. You know, when I was sitting in the boardroom in the company that I was working for, when I leave the boardroom, the managers that I was leading with in the parking, because my latest Range Rover, parked there. I could afford the latest Range Rover. I had 30,000 rand money for the repayments, but I decided not to. Because I know the background, and I know what's a job so that I changed the landscape of my lineage. So as long as I to drive, I remember at the time I was driving Golf 6, affording a Range Rover. In the boardroom, they were sitting in the double-story houses, beach view. I could afford that. But even today, I'm not staying there. Not because of affordability. Because how is it going to help me to move up the ladder, to create legacy for my family? So the thing of a peer pressure, I paid. I pay. And now on Instagram are just putting so much pressure because you know, we are all perfect. All of us are perfect there. And then you sit at home and say, oh my goodness, everyone is perfect. Then you go and do all these things that they are doing. So very important to understand you, Uthandi. Now I started buying designer bags and designer shoes later on. When at the early stage I had friends who were owning those things and I could buy them, but I decided not to buy them. So just understand your own situation. That's the only way that we will be able to take up space as women. And financial literacy 101 is about income and expense, and about assets and liabilities. So we make sure that the income that we gain goes to assets as much as possible. So if you are sitting here and you have debts that are unnecessary, I encourage you to go and close them. Account go through it, but I suppose we account of skate. I mean, what's skate after 4 months? You understand? You don't need to buy it now. Get what if I'm offending people, but it's very important. Very important. I still do have debts. I don't think we can be able to run big businesses without debt. I still have lots of debts, but understanding Yami is the debts that I cannot do away with, because the system in South Africa currently is designed in such a way that you need money to make money. Yeah. You see, but let's not open up debts that are unnecessary. And if you have them, as painful as it is, try to close them. Try to close them. Okay, on the last point of relationships, very important, Bazalwane, to understand that we are a brand. Standing here in front of you, Dr. Thandi MaThabethe Ngxongo is a brand. You are a brand sitting there. So how you carry yourself determines what type of relationships that you attract. I'm on social media, and I encourage all of us to be on social media. I said the same in the Forbes Summit now, because there's all the top women that are there. I'm like, if we as matured people are not on social media, then it will always be a playground. So we are there so that we can play there, but we also play in a way that is educational, that infuses education to other people. If you know, my social media content is really based on personal development and my journey. It's not really based on my personal life, and family and whatnot. Because I cannot then, we are the light. We need to shine the light. So if the light that I have been, by the grace of God, carry, I put it under itafula. And people won't get inspired. So I said, let's go on social media. Let's go and influence the spaces in the social media. We can see the youth right now, I don't know which direction that they are taking. So God has entrusted us to be there to really shine the light. Network as much as possible. Like this women's gathering and whatnot, they're very important. Go there, network. Some of the deals are closed there. So network with other women as much as possible. Mentor. One of my personal mantra that I live by is that I lift as I rise. So I have mentors. Even today, I have mentors, people that I look up to, and I have mentees. So I take one step forward, I look back, and then I take other women with me. Because that's the only way we're going to take up space as women, if we recognize ukuthi akekho omunye umuntu ozosenzela besides ourselves.
Yes.
Serve as much as possible. Serve. Don't be afraid to say, yes, I'm going to come and speak in your event pro bono. Because you can say, if I go and speak there, it's actually a strategy for me. So serve as much as possible. As you serve, somebody is watching. God is watching. The universe is watching. And the dots will align. So those are the three issues that really I wanted us to align on our journey of taking up space. And I hope that I wasn't too technical. We were all going up together, right? As I close, I just want to encourage you to understand this one here that I've just done last night. The courage is a point between feeling fear, the feeling of fear, and doing it anyway. We will always do things fearful, because that is courage. And me, personally, I stand on Jeremiah 29:11, because you need to know where you stand on as a woman, where you draw inspiration. When Jesus said, when God says, I knew you before you were born, and he continues to say, so that you can prosper. So I stay on the promises of God that I am going to be prosperous. Even though the journey is difficult, but I am going to win at the end. So all of us are going to win, Basalwan. It is the promise that God has promised us. But of course, we need to have a relationship with God and need to claim his promises. But all of us are going to win. So I would like us to live here knowing that those spaces are waiting for us. We are going to take up those spaces. Difficult as it is, but we are going to win. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much to my best friend, Dr. T. Thank you for not wondering, not making us wonder, not making us question, but giving us the conviction to take up space. We are going to allow time for Q&As. I know you have questions. Besite, this is not an opportunity for us to sit, eat sweets and drink water again. So we need to show that we are actually paying attention. And I'm going to ask our friends from the mission unit to assist us with roving mics, so that you can just raise your hands and ask whatever question you have. You can ask a question, any question you have that you may have for Dr. T, so that she can answer. I can see a hand. Please stand up, Sisi. Introduce yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ladies. Ladies. My name is Imelda. I'm from Moloko District. I'm also a member of the Women in District Task Team for the Connection. I think this was a challenging conversation. As you were saying something about savings, or putting money aside, or adjusting your spend if you have been promoted. I was thinking that if I was doing my washing and I find 100 spooler in there, since we use spoolers, I would leave that washing and remember that I needed to go to some shop somewhere. I think it's a reality, it's there. However, what I wanted to ask was, we are talking about spaces, finding spaces in this corporate, especially in the corporate world, where there's always an issue of saying the women cannot do it better. And I just wanted to ask her, how do you deal with the situations where you feel overlooked and preference for a man? How do you continue sitting there and not appear sulking and all emotions coming in? Because this is something, again, which they use against you to say, you see why you never pick a woman. All of a sudden, she's all emotional and she wants to blackmail us. I think that is what I have. But as for the rest of the things, yeah, reality is reality, and we cannot deny the things we do when we spend so much money on clothes and shoes. Thank you.
Do you want to, can I take a few questions and then you answer? Any other hands? There we go. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Peter from Central District. Sis Thandi, I would like to ask, in terms of saving, how do you instill discipline in yourself? Take, for instance, I've started saving and something comes up at home. Something that needs me to take out that savings and help at home. So how do you instill that discipline of saying, I cannot?
Any other hand? I'm losing weight here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to put my question in Portuguese. My name is Greta from Mozambique. I didn't understand very well the syndrome. The imposter syndrome is something that someone says that you can't do it, or you assume that you can't. I didn't get that point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more questions? Dr. T,
Yeah.
I think those are the only questions
Yes.
from me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sis. The first question of feeling overlooked. I think what has worked that I've seen in the corporate space is that you cannot sulk. I mean, we are over the sulking period of saying, we are at a space where you need to prove that you can do something. So what has helped me in my journey is that I started as an engineer, right, in the manufacturing of petroleum products, a refiner. But because I knew I'm not going to be confined by the four walls of manufacturing, I started looking at other projects that are outside of my scope of work, and raise my hand to say, I am going to do this. In corporate space, they do a lot of new things. Currently now the buzzword is sustainability. One of the corporate space that I serve in, we were hosting the sustainability workshop a few days ago. So if you know that, okay, in this company, this is what's important right now, just raise your hand to be in the committee or to lead that committee. And as you do that, somebody will then recognize your skill. I've seen it working. So we must not just be confined by the contract, scope of work. Let's not be confined by the scope of work. See something that is outside and raise your hand. That's one thing that has helped me a lot. The second thing that has helped me is to find a mentor or a sponsor, whatever you want to call it. So I was intentional from Gisao Engineer Refinery to make sure that I have a mentor. So for me to move from refinery to corporate, the business side of petroleum industry, I identified a GM, in Cape Town, Australia. I said, can you please be my mentor? Because in that way, she's already there, she's a decision maker, and she can then say, okay, no, I have a mentee. My mentee can do that, My mentee can do that. Then in that way, you are being seen in your own corporate space. We cannot shy away that we talk people in boardrooms. For those who are in corporate would know that. So your climbing up the ladder in corporate is not only based about your performance, but it's also based about relationships. There are two currencies, performance and relationships. Hence, it's important to make sure that you have a mentor or you have a sponsor. Because behind closed doors, if there are 3 people that can do the same job, it depends now on what we say as leaders to make sure that one of them is selected. So relationship currency is very important in corporate. Discipline in savings. I think what has worked for me, I'm a stockfella, was, our great-grandmothers started this thing of this concept of stockfells. Because they knew it's important to have an accountability partner when you do something.
Yeah.
If you do it alone, it's very difficult. One of the things that I put in my vision for this year was to go back to gym. But because I'm doing it alone, I'm like, it's a Monday. It's a Monday, So let's have an accountability partner. Because I'm not going to be able to go back to Stockfell and go for the money saying if I go back to Stockfell and it's an interest. So I think it helps, Sisi, if you still don't have enough discipline to have an accountability partner. Imposter syndrome. Understanding imposter syndrome is the things that I tell myself, is the negative things that I say about myself. Thandi, a rural girl from wherever, you want to own a garage in the suburbs, in town. Wow, girl. Yeah, so I'm thinking that that is not meant for me. It is meant for other people, So I've already imposed that about myself. Ooh, the corporate in the petroleum sector, in those big giants of the petroleum companies, it's only men. There is no way I can get into that space. I've already told myself. And the things that we tell ourselves, we tend to believe them. So if you tell yourself these things all the time, you're going to believe them. So hence, at the beginning, I said, the declarations that you do in the morning. I've even taught my kids. After prayers, we do morning prayers at home because in the evening, we try once or twice a week in the evenings, but we do morning prayers before we leave for work and school. We do a morning prayer and we do declarations. I am beautiful. But my girls, I am beautiful. I'm intelligent. I am intelligent. I want them to believe that about themselves. I want them to believe that I'm an intelligent girl. You know, I make sure that I instill that about themselves so that they do not suffer the imposter syndrome that I've suffered growing up. I don't know if that's clear.
Thank you very much. Can we give her another round of applause? Don't leave yet, Doc. Don't leave. There was a question that was asked, and I'm not sure that I got the response to. But as the question was asked, I thought to myself, I would love to hear what you would say about how we navigate black tax. Because that's it's a tightrope for a lot of us.
Yes.
And I can hear from the ladies that it's a big issue for many of us, and it affects how well we save or don't. And there's a question because we are not just physically here, but we have people online.
Yes.
And there are a couple of questions online. The first question is from Precious Scott. And she says, thank you. As a young woman wanting to enter into business, we are often challenged by the fact of being unable to secure funding. How did you navigate this challenge? As this is a big stumbling block when wanting to progress further with your venture. And then there is a second question from her, and she says, how did you take up space and build financial muscle in an industry that is very male dominated? Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Bongi. On the first one of black tax, I'm still experiencing that even today. I don't want to call this a black tax anymore. You know, I believe that in my family, God has put me there for a purpose. You know, that's what I believe in. Black tax, we all interpret it differently. You know, we all look at it in a negative way or in a positive way. When I started working, I had to go home and build a house. Because so I had to go back and extend it almost as a kaya and put it furniture, you know. And I don't know again. I think it's I don't see things negative. Isn't it negative at all? You know. So that delayed me for 3 years doing that. But it's okay because I get fulfillment for the fact that umawami and the kaya banekaya elikahle engilithandayo, you know. Angeke ngikwazi ukuhlala emzini omuhle obenyezelayo ekhaya kube ngekho right. Uyabona? So it depends how you look at it. You cannot stretch yourself too much that usuyasafarisha vele ngendlela manje, because I always see stories on Facebook ukuthi ekhaya banele uthi kusho umthwalo 25 bafuna le mali, ushaya umhlabani bafuna le mali, abanele ekhaya, yabo. So if it becomes a burden, angeke ukwazi ukwenza from the point of love. So if you are tackling the black tax, you must tackle it from the point of love. If you tackle it from that point, you know. I have my brothers who have many children, you know, very many children, no baby mama. For those who follow me on social media don't know, because I cannot be auntie oneyingane ehleli lapha yakogoli ezithi ekhaya siphuma khabo babethu kodwa ngikhona nami auntie lekhaya, uyabo. So I believe that I am put in that family for a purpose. So ngiyabaqoqa bonke and try and plant them in my properties and register them at school, and by doing that uJehova uyakunezelela somehow. uJehova uyakwenza ukuthi kwenzeke. So if black tax yakho you look at it as a burden, don't do it, because then you're not going to be able to see fruits of that. But if you do it out of love, the fruits will be there. Funding. I always say that as much as it's important to aim for big businesses with big funding of millions, but I don't encourage us to start there. I shared initially that I started by opening up Thandi's Kitchen. And then that I did with my own money, you know. Then I built that kitchen up with that money. I didn't look for any funding. I was selling, ladies, sell all your skills. I sell all my skills to different corporate spaces, to everywhere, all the skills that I have. So one of the skills that I have is on health and safety. So, centrally about the construction business, I was like, okay, can I do your safety file? Yeah, safety file is like 3,000 rand. Start a business with what you have first. Then when you gain skills, you gain a profile, it then becomes a little bit easier for funding institutions to look at you and look at you as not a high risk. Otherwise, if you don't have anything, you have a CIPC document and a bank account that is zero, and you go to a funding institution, you are a high risk. It's going to be very easy to get funding. And I always say this to us, especially Black community. When you want funding for big businesses, please try to go to government fundings. Don't go to commercial banks. Commercial banks are there to make money, whether you have made money or not. They want their money. I saw flames during COVID-19. The garage is closed, we are all sitting at home. The financial institutions did not want to budge in. So don't go for biggest funding at the beginning. Try and create a profile for yourself, then look for financial institutions. Last week I was invited by Old Mutual. They have a program called Masisizan. Masisizan, let's help each other. So look for those kind of things, you know, where you're going to have grants for 200,000, and use that grant, you know, look for those kind of things. Just search online, institutions that gives grants, you know. In case at end they have a program called Operation Vula, you know, try and apply for those. It's not easy, I don't want to lie, I've never received any grant, but try for those things first if you still don't have any profile for yourself. Financial space, what do I say now? Financial space,
Her second question was, how did you take up space and build financial muscle in an industry that is male-dominated?
Yes, I think I did share briefly, maybe she had not connected then. I did share briefly on how I really gained financial muscle. It was really about not adjusting my lifestyle when I have extra cash. So extra cash I have, I put it aside. The side hustles I had, I put the money aside. I did not adjust at all. So I think that's the only way we can be able to try and gain financial muscle. And so right now we're also going to go and sit down and look at all our expenses, the expense column, and look at all our expenses and see what can we cut. What can we cut? Look at our debt. How can I close this debt in 2024 so that when I go to 2025, the same money for this debt goes to savings and investments. And let's not be shy to get advice. I have a financial advisor, not as a bank because it's going to sell me products. I have Unozi, who's a financial guru, who helps me on how to plant my money so that my money grows. So get help. I get help. Naja, I live with help. I have built structures around me that helps me to make good decisions. So let's leverage on our strengths of other people.
Thank you. So mine was a comment, not a question. My name is Mzi Luna. And mine was a comment related to the question around sulking and being emotional. I think one of the things that I would like us to think about here and beyond is how emotions are constructed in the society, and how the constructions of emotions are then deployed, and how we then consume those constructions. And by that I mean, what do we see and what meanings do we attach to particular emotions? And in the world of work, leadership, business, and all of that, they have constructed a very false perspective of emotions and make emotions appear to be something that's undesirable in that space.
Weakness.
Weakness. You soft. You're a woman. You cry. I cry a lot. I'm a cry baby. But that does not make you incompetent.
Yes.
You crying on top of a form, and if your competence requires that you fill the form and sign it, you will still sign as a manager. If it requires that you say, no, the policy does not allow, you will still say, no, the policy does not allow. It does not make you any less of a manager, less of a leader, or less of a business person when you have emotions. I think as women we should begin to own our emotions, because that is one of the things that we bring to the space. We bring those emotions, and it's okay to have those emotions. And for a very long time, we have watched the business sector, the leadership sector, the corporate sector presenting an emotionless kind of masculine posture that says people who will get here are people who behave like men, who are not going to be crying, because there is no cry baby when a truck of petrol that was coming to your garage has been intercepted on the entry and the protesters, they burn it. Right? You paid for it already. And so if they think they don't want you to cry, how are you going to express your sadness about the fact that you've just lost money because you already paid? So I think we should be allowed as people and as women to be sad, to be disappointed, to be angry, and still do well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Z, my friend, and thank you, Dr. Tina. Let me please ask, they said there are no references. Let me ask Lydia Magela to come and say a few words of thank you to our speaker. The presiding bishop, the former presiding bishop, the ladies gathered here, the presiding bishop of the Hiswa district, Amen. And to our lady of note, our guest speaker, it's a privilege, my sister, to have been asked to convey this word of gratitude to you on behalf of this Women's Assembly. And I want to express a deep sense of appreciation to you for your time, for your valuable input and insight. It is good that you have reminded us that in order for us to take up this space, we need to know who we are, what we are, and where we are. In that way, then we are able to develop ourselves, which will enable us to take up space in different spaces that we find ourselves or that we aspire to take space in. In fact, what I liked more is that when you said that you lived as you rise, because I want to believe that somebody gave you an opportunity or opened a door for you. And I'm a firm believer that when you open a door or somebody has opened a door for you, then you leave it wide open for others, not only to come in, but to join you up on stage and take up the space. So, and I like the fact that you've come from a rural background, which many of us can relate to that, I come from a rural background. You are a woman standing here who is taking a male-dominated space. Many of us here, we are in that kind of space. So we can definitely relate and say it is possible, it is doable. And you standing here, or as you go out and take up the space in different spaces, I want to borrow from the words of Maya Angelou when she says, I come as one, but I stand as 10 for 10,000, because you out there, you are embodying not only yourself, but us. And it gives us an opportunity as well as women of the MCSA and South Africa to be encouraged that if Dr. Thandi can do it, I can do it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such wonderful words. Friends, we have come to the end of day one of our Women's Assembly. Beep, 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 beep. I had to do that in front of the PB so that when I do it in my circuit and in my district, they know that the PB allows it. So I would really, really like to give a word of gratitude to each and every one of you for being so obedient. First of all, to saying yes to being part of a women's assembly without even knowing the details of what it was about. It shows that the heart and the spirit is willing. Thank you so much. Second of all, I would like to give thanks to each and every one of you for keeping to the times. And yes, we started on a wrong footing, but then we caught up as far as time was concerned. And then now we are right on time. And I thank you. So we are starting on a good note. We are showing the world that as women, we can do it. We want to do it, and we will do it. So as I request Muiboni Matsani to come and pray for us when we go for supper, I would like to remind each and every one of you, if you are still not registered, this is your last chance to please make sure that you are registered, that you have signed where your name is supposed to be, and that you have received the keys to your room. If you need to swap rooms for serious reasons, not because you want to share with a friend, please know that we have made provision for you to be able to do that. Go and see the mission unit team. Thank you, ladies. I'll go and see the mission unit team to make sure that that is done. Secondly, supper is ready as of 6 o'clock. Supper is ready as of 6 o'clock tonight, so you are more than welcome, once you have sorted out your admin, to go and have your supper and network and meet new people. Don't just sit and mingle and network and worship and fellowship with people from your own district. We are here to make sure that we create space and we take up space in each other's lives and each other's workspaces and each other's districts, so that tomorrow we go together as one. Tomorrow, breakfast starts at 6:30 in the morning. You are more than welcome to go and have your breakfast from 6:30, 7:30, but please note that at 7:45 the program starts. We are not going to make a call to ask people to come inside. You have your program on your phone and you have a physical copy. So 7:45 we start sharp, which means that at 7:30 we are starting with praise and worship. Right? We are warming ourselves up. And tomorrow I might not be here, so don't miss me too much. So I'm making sure that you hear my voice for as long as you can. And so as everybody comes to the front, may we please stand and sing so that she can pray for us. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Remember to write all the words that you hear God speak, so that tomorrow, first session is review of day 1 and outline of day 2. So we are going to be talking about all the words that you hear God speak to you this evening. Let us please stand.